Alright, so this is part 2 of what if female Deku was the gargantuan leviathan. Now, I saw in the last part that one of you commented that I didn't really focus on their gargantuan form in that part. So I just like to say it here. If I do Leviathan what if and I have it set to they can go giant, I prefer to do part 1 where I get their character down and you guys get an idea of what their personality is like. Then I start doing the gigantification stuff. Alright, now let's start. We'll begin with Izumi's first day of training. As both her and Yu head out to the ocean, as Yu is currently on a boat, and Izumi is currently in her gargantuan form, basically training. As they basically specialize I'll say they specifically made a punching bag that can change sizes. So it can go giant, and it can go normal human size. So it's currently, I'd say, around the same size as Izumi right now. So she is currently now her fighting style is sort of like a mix of boxing and Tai Chi. So she will be using a lot of punches and kicks and a lot of self-defense arts. Now, I don't know any Tai Chi at all. The only thing I know is kickboxing, which is usually the fighting style I have input for some of them. Not all of them, though. Anyway, continuing. Hold on. Alright, sorry about that. As Izumi would continue her training, as eventually it would get to the point where she was a bit exhausted, as she would then lie down and just let herself float in the water for a bit. As she currently is lying on her back right now, so she's kind of forming a back float. As you would move the boat up to where Izumi's ear is, as she would say, guessing you're quite tired then. As Izumi would then say, "You have no idea." Hey, as she would then look over to you, as she would say, "Hey you, is it alright if I go for a deep dive in the water for a bit?" As you would say, "Sure. Just be back up here before sunset." As Izumi would say, "Alright." As she would then basically dive to the bottom of the ocean. As she would make it and touch the ocean floor, as she'd begin to walk. Now give me a minute. Sorry about that. As she'd be walking along the bottom of the ocean, she would basically pick up some things like some deep sea crabs, basically anything she could eat. As she is basically now sitting at the bottom of the ocean and just basically eating the things that she picked up that are edible. As she feels like some I just going to say this, she can sort of do the same thing as sharks, where they can detect electric signals. And yes, this is a thing sharks can do. As she'd hear some kind of submarine moving towards her. As she would then begin to move out of the way because she's thinking that it's some kind of research vessel. As she would then swim back up to the surface and basically breach the surface. She would breach the surface and basically shrink down and get back onto the boat that you was on. As they would then end up headed home. Sorry about that. As Izumi would then end up relaxing for the rest of the day. As we then get to the next day, and Izumi's basically just studying right now. So she's not doing any physical form of training, she's just studying. Oh my god. Sorry about the door constantly opening, there's a lot of wind right now. Anyway, hold on. Sorry about that. Anyway, Izumi is currently studying, and Yu is helping her with the studying. As they're basically sort of like trying to get a workaround on how Izumi could use her quirk. As Yu would then ask, couldn't she try to grow to around half her size? Now, for those of you who have played Subnautica and have looked at the file for the gargantuan leviathan skeleton, it's said that the gargantuan leviathan as an adult registers between 1,100 and 1,500. As Izumi would say that she never thought about that, maybe they could try and get a support item. Sorry about that. They could try to get a support item that can restrict the growth of her gigantification, therefore getting her to around use size or larger. As that's what they begin to work on for the next month. As they eventually get a prototype down, as they would end up testing it out, as Izumi would begin to grow, as she'd stop at exactly, give me a minute, till as she gets out to about 68 feet. So she stops at around Mount Lady's height. As it then begins to spark and it then basically shuts down, as Izumi then ends up growing to the maximum size. As they both sigh and then head back to square one, see where they went wrong, and try to improve upon it. And after months and months of working on it, and doing the training and studying in between, they'd finally got it working. As Izumi stops perfectly at 68 feet, and there are no problems with the device at all. As Izumi basically has this on her at all times whenever she's not training at all, and needs to get to an area quickly. Also, I did see the comments about the gargantuan leviathan in this picture being sick. You can thank Orozura for that. As we then get to the UA entrance exams. As Izumi then heads into the entrance exam, as she then listens to President Mike talk about the robots that they'll be encountering in the practical portion. And Izumi's eyes are semi-luminous, so she is quite a bit noticeable, but not too noticeable. As Ida then gives whole spiel about there being 4 robots and not 3, and if this is an oversight by Yui, he is very disappointed. As Izumi would stand up and say, listen, he was just about to get on to the next one, so if you, and you end up interrupting him, so could you just sit down and quit embarrassing yourself even further? As Ida would have talked back to her, but he did feel like this kind of commanding presence coming from her, as he would then sit down. As we then get to the written portion of the entrance exam, which Izumi passes and ends up correcting Nezu on some of them, the intentional mistakes they left in there. As we then get to the physical portion, sorry about that, as we'll then get on to the physical portion of the entrance exam, with Izumi being at the front, as she notices a brown-haired girl who appears to be quite nervous as she goes to walk up and talk to her, as she taps her on the shoulder as she asks if she is nervous. As Uraraka would say, yeah, she is a bit nervous. As Izumi would then say, don't worry, you've got this. As President Mike begins the countdown, as when he reaches 0, he says, there's no countdowns in a real villain attack. Everybody go. As Izumi would then run. As she would end up running in and punch a robot, which would cause the robot to explode and fly off. As she would continue this as she would gain more and more points, as she's currently at 165 villain points, and hold on, give me a minute. Jeez Louise, sorry about that. I thought there was a bee in here. I panicked, but it was actually a moa. Sorry about that. Anyway, Izumi would have helped some people out, as she would have gotten 55 hero points. She was still going around seeing if she could help people, as she would feel a rumbling in the ground, as she would look and see the 0-pointer coming right at them, as she would think to herself, yeah, I'm not fighting that, I'm headed. As when she's about to run, she hears somebody calling out for help, as she'd turn around and see Uraraka trapped under the rubble. As Izumi would then turn around and start running towards it, as she would end up taking off the thing that they had made, that her and Yui made, is basically a bracelet. So Izumi takes it off, as she then grows to the full 1,500 meters, as she basically hold on, give me a minute. Alright, sorry about that. I had to get the 0-pointer's height, but since they didn't provide a canon source for its height, I went to Reddit. They're apparently 50 meters. Anyway, as Izumi would basically just lift her foot up and then just slam it down on the 0-pointer, basically crushing it. As she would basically do like the crouching thing that the Beast Titan did in Attack in season 2. So like where it like crouched down, like it was doing a slab squat, as she would then basically move the rubble off of Uraraka using her finger, as she would then shrink down, as she would then run over and help Uraraka up, as she would ask her if she is okay, as she would say that she is fine, and what's her name, as Izumi would say that her name was Izumi Takeyama, I think that's how you pronounce Mount Lady's last name. As Uraraka would say, well, I'm Oshaka Uraraka, and it's nice to meet you. As Recovery Girl comes about to heal Uraraka's injury, as the entrance exam is then declared over. And that is it for part 2. I do hope you guys enjoyed this, and for those of you who'd made it to the end of this, want to say this. Not only will I be covering some SCP stuff and Subnautica Leviathans, I will also be covering some of the Elder Dragons from Monster Hunter. So if you guys would like to see that, do let me know in the comments. And the Discord link in my About section is now up and running normally. So if you guys want to join that, I'll leave a link to it in the description below. I do hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you all next time.